Hi guys! During this lesson we are going to discuss how venture capitalists earn their money for a living. I would like to start this lesson with a joke. It's quite well-known joke. How to identify a venture capitalist on a party in a Silicon Valley? It is very easy. When venture capitalist enters a party, he starts looking for an exit. Speaking honestly, it's not quite a joke. Actually, this is the core idea for our course. And the idea is the following. Every time when you are attracting money from VC fund, you should clearly realize that the ultimate goal of any VC fund is not just to invest in your company, but first invest, and second, to sell your company in order to get return on the investments. Venture capitalists want to multiply their money. They want to get 10 times, 100 times more than they invested. To support my claim, I would like to discuss with you a typical structure and a typical life cycle of a VC fund. The first stage of any VC fund is a marketing stage. This is the time when VC fund managers pitch their idea in front of limited partners and ask them to commit capital for a fund. When the marketing has been done, the actual life of a VC fund starts. Typically, the lifetime of a VC fund is about 10 years. This lifetime is divided into two parts. During the first period, approximately 5 years, VC fund managers actively looking for investments, and their primary goal on this stage is to invest maximum of the committed capital. The second part of VC fund life cycle is the period when venture capitalists exit from their investments. This is the time of realizations of return based on which the performance of a VC fund is measured. Also, I would like to discuss with you two specific terms, a gunpowder and a vintage year. A vintage year is the year when a VC fund started its operations. A gunpowder is the difference between the committed capital and the actually invested capital. Why it is important for you to know these two definitions? It's quite simple. Let's assume the situation that you are an entrepreneur and you are negotiating a deal with a VC fund. And you know that the vintage year for this fund was 4 or 5 years ago. And remember, we know that usually VC funds actively invest during the first 5 years of their lifetime. And their goal is to invest 100% of the committed capital. And also you know that this VC fund has a lot of gunpowder. What does it mean for you? For you it means that these guys might be a bit more flexible because they really want to invest all the money that were committed for the fund. Sometimes you can see the situation when VC funds exist for 12-15 years. This situation can happen when VC fund managers assume and forecast that the value of their investments in a particular company or in the group of companies will continue to grow during the next 2-5 years, so they make a decision to extend the period of lifetime of a VC fund. Now let's discuss how VC fund managers earn their money for living. There are two major ways. The first way is 2% management fee charged annually. For example, you have a fund of 100 million and annually as a VC fund manager you get $2 million US. The second way is 20% from successful exits when the IRR is above 8%. It is also very important to realize that VC fund managers obviously want to earn their money for living for a long period of time, not only for 10 years of the typical lifetime of a fund. In order to do so, somewhere in the middle of VC fund lifetime, after the 5 years from vintage year, they start marketing campaign for a new fund. This time is particularly good for the marketing campaign for two reasons. First, the majority investments for the current fund have been made, and also the first exits from investments can show good performance in order to persuade limited partners to commit capital for a new fund. So guys, now you can clearly understand why the primary goal of a VC fund not just to invest in your company, but to sell stake in your company and actually demonstrate a successful exit. The first reason is that the performance of a VC fund is measured based on successful exits. Second is that if there will be no successful exits, VC fund managers will not be able to persuade limited partners to commit capital for a new follow-on funds. So, in this case, VC fund managers will not be able to earn their money for living for the next 20, 30, 50 years.